Alright, so for this script, we are going to Webscrape NFL News. And this is something that did not take long at all for me to create because we actually created a script very similar to this in our last project when we were looking at the stock market. So it's basically going to be the same concept where we're looking at Google News and then uh, going through each and every NFL team, retrieving the last five headlines, but with a bit more information. So the first thing we do is create and set up our environment. Nothing new here. Like I always say throughout each script we do, we've seen these libraries and packages before. Alright, so for this next block of code in here, we are going to try and see how we could scrape the information. And the most important line of code is really this first one, because this will determine how we need to set up our link in order to move on to the next team and scrape each and every team in our data set. So you can see that with the Google News, they put they don't put parentheses. They put a % and then they put 20 wherever there is a space. And this Q here, from my best guess, means query. So we're querying news for the Miami Dolphins, and the rest of the link here will be a placeholder as well. So we go to that website, read it, and parse it. But we've seen this before, and like I said, always, it's nothing really new. So the next line of code, we are going to read in our NFL team basic information. The reason why we do this is because we have each and every team listed here, and I'm going to use the team name column to input into this link here. So that way we could retrieve the news for each team that we're looking at. So pretty short script. We could get into the loop now. So I set I equal to 0 and P equal to 0 as well. And then we create a data frame on the outside of the loop. And then I say for teams in NFL teams, team name column, we are going to replace the space with a % and 20. Once we do that, we are going to do a try and accept. So we are going to have our link. So this will contain the Miami Dolphins. If we were on the Miami Dolphins, or let's go with the first example here, we have the Denver Broncos. This link here, if you want to picture it, it's going to have, and I'll put this in parentheses, Denver %20. This is what this team's value is. So we search using that link. Then once we do that, we are then going to retrieve the last 5 articles that have been written about the team. The things we are going to take is the headline, the link to the article, the picture for the article, which is something new we didn't do in the last project, but it wasn't hard at all because we are getting more and more familiar with web scraping and HTML. Then the published date, of course, and then lastly we are going to need the team name. Once we have all of that information, we then create a staging data frame and create the columns with the variables we had above earlier, or the variables I mentioned earlier. Then lastly, we append to the data frame on the outside, and then we add 1 to I. If I is equal to 6, then we want to reset I back to 0, and then we add 1 to P. This means we have scraped the last 5 headlines and we are moving on to the next team. And then I just have a simple print statement just showcasing the headline, the team, and the headline text. You can see here we are going to reverse it now to where we are replacing that %20 with a space. So now it's going back to the original team name. Then a bit of data manipulation here. We are going to convert the published column into a date time column. And that's basically it. You can see all the headlines we're looking at. It's going to retrieve the first 5 headlines for each team. And then this coding here doesn't really matter. It was some things I was just trying out and wanted to see if the article link works correctly. And I should mention, for the headline link to work correctly, now that we took a look at the data frame, we have to use this link combined with the headline link too. If we don't have this beginning part of the link, then it's not going to work. So once we have that, we have our headline link, and then we could just copy it and we'll take a look at it later. So that was an article about the Seattle Seahawks. So we scroll down, we have everything, and then we export it to a CSV file, of course using the encoding CP1252, and we turn off the index. So if we take a look at our headline here, or our article link, you can see it goes to Google News first, but then it takes us to the actual article. And it was talking about the same thing, the Seahawks 90-man roster. And this site is a little bit slow to load. I'm pretty sure it has a bunch of ads trying to load up and complete. And then you can see that this is the article picture. And then we can also take a look at that as well. And then we have the date here. And then this is an article on the Denver Broncos. We're looking at a picture of the Denver Broncos, and remember that the Denver Broncos was the first team in the data set we loaded in. So I have this script running daily. You know, NFL and the teams that play in the NFL constantly have news coming out about them, so it's good to have this running daily. And with that out of the way, pretty short script, we can move on to the next script.